Today I'm going to be sharing 10 meta mistakes that are killing your campaigns, killing your ad performance, and then I'll also explain how you can optimize your campaigns and avoid making these mistakes. The first mistake that's killing your campaign performance is overcomplication. So think of having too many campaigns in your ad account or having a crazy setup. For example, I had a client who previously had a campaign setup where he had one ad set and each ad set had one ad inside. So for each campaign, he had around 50 ad sets and each ad set only had one ad. Now it might be okay when your spend is low, but if you plan to scale your campaigns and optimize it accurately, or you plan to hire a media buyer, it's going to be just crazy and you won't be able to optimize, because optimizing 50 different ad sets, looking at all the different data, there's just too much time, too much effort, and you can make it so much easier. So to fix overcomplication is to use a more consolidated campaign setup. If you've seen any of my videos, you probably saw that I just have basically a creative testing campaign where I test the creative parts. So copy and creatives, images, videos, every week a new test. Then I have a scaling campaign where only the best ads go inside using post IDs mainly. And then maybe an audience test if your audience is not only one country, but you want to test the US, you want to test Europe, you want to test Asia as well. Then I usually just do that in an audience campaign. The second one is bad testing. So I just mentioned audience testing, but when I test an audience, this is just different location. Now, if you have a set campaign for audience testing, that's only different interests, customer lists, lookalikes, then you're not gonna get the best performance, because audience testing doesn't really matter anymore with Meta. What matters is your callouts, your ad copy, your creative side. So do not focus your efforts on testing different audiences or random combination. Again, this goes back to step one. Make sure to avoid this. Make sure to track the correct KPIs when testing different creatives and focus on the creative side of your ads. Focus on the images, focus on the CPCs, your click-through rates, your CPMs, and not on testing different audiences. Now, number 3 is bad ads. And you'll notice that all of these mistakes are built on each other. So basically you need to have a strong foundation to make sure your ads are performing the best. So you need to track the right KPIs. Now I already have like 3 different KPI videos, but I'm going to update it again because as days and months are going by, ads are only getting more expensive. So for example, now an average CPM for the US from $25, it's up to $45 to $50. That's on the CPM. And if you're targeting UK, around $20 to $25 is the normal CPM. Link click-through rates. Now with the higher CPMs, the reason for the higher CPM because tracking is better and you're reaching your target audience, that's why it's costing more. But with the higher CPMs, you'll also get better CTRs. So now ideally from my previous 1%, you need to get at least 2% click-through rates, that's recommended, and the cost per click around $1.50. That's an average KPI now. Now, of my previous live, I also discussed how Hormozy is using his S strategy and how to target your audience. So for that, you'll have to have a clear call to action. You have to make it obvious to Meta, the AI, and your audience what your ad is about, what you are trying to promote, what's your service, what's your product. And your message has to call out the target audience. So when I say focus on the audience, you need to call out your audience in your video or on your image and also in your ad copy. So let's say you have a wellness clinic in Florida, then you'll call out everyone in the first line, like, hey, attention, if you're from Florida, if you are dealing with back pain, our clinic can help you. So it's important to make sure the tracking is on point and you're actually running good ads. Number 4 is going to be similar to number 1, to overcomplication. Now it's over optimizing. So not trusting the system, you just launched an ad and your budget is $25 per day. It's been 3 hours and you already spent $5 of your budget and you didn't get a single click. No problem. You need to trust the system. You need to trust Meta because sometimes it takes a day or two to ramp up your campaigns to get to the correct KPIs, and not every day is the same. So you can't judge the performance based on 1 or 2 days because maybe for your audience, for your offering, Tuesdays and Wednesdays are going to be the worst days. And what if you start your campaign on one of those days? You can't know until you test. So you only have to start running ads. You can only start running ads if you have some budget, if you can actually do it without an emotion, and it's not a problem for you if you spend for 3 days without maybe any results, because that's still collecting the data for you. That's still giving you the numbers and the results that you need, so you'll see what your winning messaging is and what you need to focus on the future. So each ad that's not converting, you have to think about it as a testing and as a learning phase. And if you look at the data correctly, in the next round of testing, you can take those learnings and then make an even better variation. The next mistake, number 5, is going to be on the budget side. So this is what I mentioned earlier. If you don't have enough budget, or you're really small on the budget and you can't afford to spend $5 per day without making a 5x return, if that's your expectation, Meta ads are not really going to save you. Unfortunately, that's not going to help. So if you have $5 per day for the US market to advertise, it's not really going to work. And also, if you have at least a normal budget of $25 to $50 per day, let's say, if you still spread it across 6 campaigns and each campaign has about 5 ad sets, again, that's a budget mistake because you're spreading too thin and you're not going to get results fast enough and you're just basically all over the place. So that's something important to keep in mind when you are preparing to start running ads, or if you are running ads now, it's important to know. Now, all of this, having enough budget, having an amazing ad, having good tracking, amazing landing page is not going to save you if your offer is bad. So if you just go out there and advertise a 10% off, unless you have a product that's already converting, maybe a great e-commerce store, that's not the best offer. So that could be a reason why your ads are not converting, because oftentimes I get people coming to me and they just tell me, hey, my ad is not converting, which is again, first, not enough context. What does it mean that the ad is not converting? But if you get to the point where your KPIs are good, your click-through rates, your cost per click is all amazing, and they are still not converting now, it might be your offer. So you need to think about, did I already validate my offer with my target audience? Do I actually have a couple of customers who I sold this offer to? So I know it's performing well, it's worth spending money on this. And if you have a good ad and everything's great, it still can save a bad offer. So that's super important. Number 7 is going to be landing page issues. So at this point, we have a great ad, a great offer, people are clicking, you have a 4% click-through rate, everything looks great on paper, because in the Meta Ads Manager, you can't track your landing page. So when you're running ads, you also have to be able to track your landing page or have a website guy or someone who's going to help you, because you need to make sure you have good tracking, it's optimized. So if it's non-existent or it's just bad, so maybe you're only tracking page views with your pixel and you're not tracking any form submissions or call us button clicks, then you're missing out and you can't fully optimize your campaign and you can't collect your highest value customer data. So landing page is important to fix. Something that's often overlooked is optimizing for mobile, because for me personally, I use high level to optimize my landing pages. And the first part when you do the main design is just optimize for desktop. So maybe it looks all great, but on mobile it's horrible. Looks like it was made in 2008. Or if it's slow, then people are going to leave your landing page before it even loads and before they even get to see your offer or opt-in form on your landing page. Once you have a good landing page, you have your audience figured out, your ads are reaching the correct people, they are clicking, you're converting, amazing, you did a great job. At this point, the next mistake I see is killing winners early, which I never understood. I had many clients who did this. So they found a good converting ad, they ran it for about a week, and then they paused it, and then they do another testing. So what's the point of testing if you have a good ad and you pause it? The reason for testing is always to find winners and then keep them active. If you have an ad that's now, depending on your offering, that's breaking even or making you profit, there's no reason to ever pause a good ad. Please don't do it. Give it enough time. Make sure it collects enough data. The more you spend on a good ad, with time your CPA might go down, so it's going to be even cheaper to convert and make a higher profit. So never kill winners, even if you plan to scale. So let's say you find a new winning in your test, you can still launch a new test and keep this winning ad active, keep it on, and you can use the winning ad to move it to a scaling campaign, let's say. And for that, you can use the post ID strategy. So post ID strategy is something I already have discussed on my page. It's on my YouTube channel, so check it out. It's called Post IDs, and I think it's a great strategy. So the next mistake we have is overscaling. So now, of course, we have the landing page, good ad, converting. We did not pause the good ad, everything's looking great. But hey, let's make more money. So I'm going to double my budget from $25 per day to $50 per day. Now that's another mistake, and it's going to confuse Meta because you're basically telling it, hey, now you can feel free to double my spend. So the ideal way to scale your campaigns is just do it every 2 to 3 days. Don't scale every day. Do it ideally on every 3 days. And at the time, only increase your spend by around 25 to 30%. So of course, if you're spending $5 per day, you can move it to $10 per day. But if you're around $25, now the next jump should be $30. If you're at $50 per day, only jump to $60 per day and not higher. Make sure you're not overscaling because that's going to confuse the algorithm, and your ad performance might suddenly drop, and then you'll be in the situation where you say that, hey, I have good ads, but every time I scale, my performance drops. So you can avoid it by scaling and optimizing in a smart way. And for this, you can also apply the cost cap strategy if you have some budget issues or once your CPA start to drop. That's also an amazing strategy. Now I mentioned the post IDs. Cost cap is also something great. So the next and the last mistake we have is something I also touched on my previous call, is hacking the system, searching for the perfect campaign setup, searching for the perfect ad strategy. Now, it was maybe 5 years ago where you could hack the system, where you could have a super optimized audience setup, the perfect testing system. But at this point, creative is going to be the main factor that's deciding if your ads are winning, if you're targeting the correct audience. So I just share a couple of recent good ads that I have recently that I see performing well. So, for example, on the ad copy side, what I see recently performing well is personal stories. So you don't even talk about your offer, you don't even talk to your custom audience, you talk to you about you, how you made this mistake, and it cost me 5 years to figure it out, and now I finally found the solution. So inside my school community, I share all my knowledge and basically join my school community. That's an example that I saw someone with a gardening community do, and she actually blew up from around 50 members to around 800 members this point on school, and she's done it maybe in a time frame of 2 months. So she's making crazy progress, and she also rephrased her community because her community is about gardening. Now gardening is hard to sell, but she rephrased it to how I'm growing my own food and how you can do it too. And she talks about how she wasted money, how she got sick of buying fruits and vegetables from the grocery store. And I think it's amazing. So, yeah, focus on your ads and the creatives, and that's going to get you the most wins. And if you have any issues or questions about meta ads, maybe you're not sure about your campaign, You can join the community for more. It's the first link I have in my description. Scan the QR code. I'm not sure if it's actually working, so let me know. Test it myself. School.com/advertising.